Hello, everyone, and welcome to this discussion and review of Mid-South Wrestling. And now, here is Rodney and Brent West.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to a discussion of Mid-South Wrestling. Rodney West, along with the founder and the proprietor of Pro Wrestling Inside Out, Mr. Brent West.
As Jim Duggan would say, ho!
Oh, okay. And we always welcome you. We thank you very much for joining us. Now, a slight correction on something I said last time. I mentioned that the Junkyard Dog was, we think, gone by that time, but I was a little premature. He's still there, still in negotiations, but at the same time, he's also in negotiations with Vince McMahon, but not quite gone yet, but he's on his way, for no doubt about it. But another tremendous week of Mid-South Wrestling coming up. This one aired July the 12th, 1984, was episode 253. And as I've always said, these shows are timeless. Even today, they hold up. And it starts off with Jim Ross and Cowboy Bill Watts talking about the pending North American Heavyweight Championship match with our good friend and our favorite, the Big Cat, Ernie Ladd versus Magnum TA, and talk about that later on. In the first match, we see the first-time tag team of Hercules Hernandez and Steve Dr. Death Williams. Now, the time before, Mr. Williams was on the other side. Now, Brent, you were sitting there. We were sitting there in the Irish McNeil Boys Club between shows. You want to explain what happened, how Steve Williams got from one dressing room to the other?
Well, we're sitting there, and they're doing the intermission in between. Because what they did, every other week, they did two shows of Mid-South Wrestling, the Irish McNeil's Boys Club in Shreveport, Louisiana. So we were sitting there in between things, and all at once you see Jim Cornette. Let me try to explain to you about the Irish McNeil's Boys Club. It was steps you had to walk up to get to the dressing room. So anything that happened, you could see it coming, but for about 32 minutes before they got down to the ring, because it was a way down the steps you had to get there. Well, Cornette
two flights of steps coming down.
Yeah, so he's upstairs, and there's like an aisleway that you can walk from one dressing room to the other, which I guess they both connected, but they did this. Well, he's standing out there looking at his watch, Cornette is, and he's like he's waiting for somebody to come. You know, evidently they called him that there at the Irish McNeil's Boys Club. Oh, wow, this what he was waiting for. And all at once, here comes Steve Williams out of the one dressing room, walks over to the other, and then he goes into the dressing room with Jim Cornette. Well, here's the problem. That's all fine and dandy. The people there saw that. The only problem is the fans didn't have no clue on television. How did that happen? All right, I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, it was quite convoluted. I'll just tell you, when Cornette comes, it just so happens to be standing outside and nobody leaves, coming down the steps and starts walking through the people to go to the car, because everybody's parked out back. There's nobody parked in the front. I mean, anyway, we looked at each other and thought, what would you see? What was that? Okay, but I guess it works. That's what they want. But anyway, we've got Steve Dr. Death Williams, Hercules Hernandez, managed by now Jim Cornette. And Cornette's decided that he's going to put together a tag team to take on Jim Duggan and Terry Taylor, because he doesn't want his Midnight Express to have to deal with them. So then comes Jim Duggan and Terry Taylor. What a tremendous match again. Jim Duggan probably over better, I would say, as much as the Junkyard Dog and Rock and Roll Express. No doubt about it. Tremendous match again. You had at the beginning of the match, Duggan and Taylor take complete control of the match, and then right middle ways, Hercules Hernandez and Steve Dr. Death Williams take over. It keeps going back and forth until the tag, Terry Taylor is being hammered until he makes the tag to Jim Duggan. Duggan comes in, he's cleaning house, and all goes well until he hits the ropes. Cornette grabs it, and he trips Jim Duggan up. Duggan doesn't just fall down. He falls down and out after Cornette. Cornette comes around the ring, up into the ring, straight across, and then sprints like he's one of these gigantic joggers, completely out of the Irish McNeil Boys Club, with Jim Duggan right after him. Right at the same time, they are doubling up. Hernandez and Williams are doubling up on Terry Taylor, and then Duggan comes in, cleans house with a chair. Tremendous. Of course, winners with Taylor and Jim Duggan by disqualification.
You know, and Jim Duggan was not fundamentally the greatest wrestler of all times.
No.
But now, and people say, Pro Wrestling Inside and Out did a top 100, and Jim Duggan was in it. And people say, oh, I don't know if he should be in it. I don't think anybody said he was a hardly erased by no stretch of the imagination. I don't think, but he was so over in Mid-South wrestling that he deserves to be there for that. If you got to see him in person, it was incredible the reaction he got.
Truly a connection between the fans and Jim Duggan. And I don't think ever matched by anybody else. No. Not in the coming years for sure. Nobody matched it. Not even after Jim Duggan. Nobody ever matched what his relationship, that relationship he had with the fans. Really nobody did. Next matchup, Buddy Landelle versus Steve Brinson. And Landelle again, really the top of his game. And of course, Steve Brinson does well until that, and I mean, he gets a vicious slam into the ropes. And then it's Buddy Landelle ended up doing the spinning elbow into the win. In that match, I noticed that once again, and we talked about it with Bill Dunny on here, that about Bill Watts' preoccupation with size. And he, once again, I'm not sure if it's, I'm not sure what it is, but he liked the bigger guys. And it's very apparent in his commentary during these matches, even later on. You'll see that. I
got to say one thing about the Steve Brinson Buddy Landelle match. The one thing I can remember, he really puts a beating on Steve Brinson in this match.
He sure does.
Really bad. And I remember this like it was yesterday. Steve Brinson comes out of the ring and he uses some derogatory remarks about Buddy Landelle. I mean, I think he was legitimately mad at Buddy Landelle because he did beat him up pretty bad in that match. If you watch that match, there's no doubt Buddy Landelle was showing him that he was in control of that match. And
it was solid. It was definitely solid stuff. I'm telling you, you're right.
I just wanted to point that out. Steve Brinson was really legitimately mad at Buddy Landelle.
I'm going to tell you the next match is Butch Reed against Mike Jackson. And we talked about on this channel over and over again about Mike Jackson. There's no bad matches. If there's a bad match with Mike Jackson, I have not seen it. I have never seen it. And in this case, it's against the Hacksaw Butch Reed. And again, there's that big size difference. And I love this situation where right at the beginning of the match, Reed wants him to grab, I'm going to give you a chance here. Just grab this headlock. And Jackson grabs a hold of the headlock and he tries to take a hip lock, take him down. Well, Reed takes and picks him up like he's on a belly to back him. He falls over the top, catches him with a couple of drop kicks, then comes up, grabs the headlock, comes up, and hip locks him down. People go crazy. It's just beautiful match. Psychology, just A-plus psychology in the match put together with Reed and Mike Jackson. And of course, in the end, it is just a beautiful, beautiful match. And in the end, it's the backbreaker, followed by the Gorilla Slam, and it's Butch Reed, and he gets the winner on Mike Jackson. Again, just a tremendous match. Jackson always, he has 100%, no doubt about it. Then we got another tag team coming up. We've got the PYT coming up against Del Vesey and Bob Brown. And they talk about Memphis a lot in this match, and where the PYT were not the fan favorites in Jarrett Promotion. And he talked about Jarrett Promotion a lot in that match, trying to set up that the idea of the PYT was this vicious team. Now, to me, I guess I'm not trying to second guess anybody, but you would think that they would have kind of showed some of the stuff that they had done in Memphis to get them ready to go and to lay out what kind of people they are. And the fact of the matter is they were managed by Jimmy Hart, which just a few months ago said that he, for what they did to the Bruise Brothers, was going to get back at Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express. And this would have been perfect. But anyway, the PYT, and then of course that's what what Watts was trying to lay out in the match. Then all of a sudden, here comes Bobby and Dennis with the belts, and they start whipping the PYT. It doesn't take long for PYT, Coco Ware, Norvell Austin get those belts back, and I mean they are just laying them out. And they good, and it's just a fantastic response. Midnight Express take the powder when they're laying those belts all in there, and just the people are chanting already PYT, PYT. So it's working. What they're doing is working, and especially the people.
What I thought the booking of that was spectacular, because here's the Midnight Express, who have whipped Magnum TA, whipped Wrestling 2. And that they had used it over and over again, and really they never, Wrestling 2 or Magnum TA, either one, except for in the whipping matches were, and even those, if you'll remember, that's how Wrestling 2 ended up turning on Magnum TA in the process. They lost the matches and got whipped. So when the PYT, which is as dirty as they are, which is what they were trying to deal, now they'll whip you, and they'll whip you good. And I thought it was well done. It was very well done, and it made a lot of sense.
I love that when they got the belts and they were whipping everybody. I mean, they were whipping Del Visi and Rob Brown and then Bobby, and they were hitting everything that moves even. And then when they come at Carl Fergie, the referee, he just gets out of the ring. But forget that. That was fantastic. Then our match 5, we got Crusher Khrushchev versus Sonny King, and then it was something. Crusher Khrushchev, Sonny King having a decent match, and here comes Butch Reed with the chair. And this time, Reed goes to hit. Khrushchev's got him up, got Sonny King held up. Reed goes to hit him. Reed ducks, hits Crusher Khrushchev. Then it's got Sonny King, and then he cleans house with the chair. Fantastic stuff. And I mean, Sonny King, and every week it just seems like he gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and the people just are supporting him.
And this time, they didn't go find the chair that was out sitting at the Irish Camino Book Club in the back of the building for 3 years. And they actually found a metal chair this time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Just fantastic stuff. Then, match number 6. It's the North American Heavyweight Championship match. And now Ernie Ladd says, it's not enough time. What are they trying to do to me yet again? They're not giving me enough time to whip Magnum TA. And he refuses to wrestle. He will not wrestle under these conditions. He doesn't want to be running to TV time. He wants the full hour to beat Magnum TA. He wants a full hour. So he refuses to wrestle. So they go. And Jim Ross, and we're waiting for Ernie Ladd to come to the ring. Magnum TA's already been introduced, and we're waiting for Ernie Ladd to come to the ring. And then they go back to the desk with Jim Ross and Bill Watts. So now we're going to see a Magnum TA video. They're going to play it while we're waiting to see if Ernie Ladd's going to finally come to the ring. Well, come back. Still no Ernie Ladd. He refuses to come out on the match during this match. And then out comes Buddy Landelle. Landelle says, I will challenge Magnum TA. I will wrestle him right here. And then they're saying, well, you can't wrestle him. We don't make the matches. And he said, what do you mean we don't make the matches? He's ready. I'm ready. Let's have it. So they have a match. All of a sudden, while the match is going on, here comes Ernie Ladd coming down towards the ring. He's got this big metal suitcase. And I'm sure it's actually his suitcase. And he comes down and he's walking towards the ring, going to walk to the opposite side towards where the concession stand's at. And Magnum TA sees him and they have an exchange. Well, in that exchange, Landel comes from behind, knees him in the back. He goes between the top and middle rope. Then Ernie Ladd picks up that suitcase and hits Magnum TA with the case. Then Ernie Ladd's going to get in the ring. And for whatever reason, that just cuts off. I'm not sure why. It just cuts off. And just great stuff, especially when it comes to Ernie Ladd. We love Ernie Ladd here on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Just fantastic stuff.
You know, when I I think Bill Watts called it the halibut. What is a halibut? Suitcase, which must have been a real at that time. Must have been. It probably still is. I don't know. I probably couldn't afford one of those, but it must have been one suitcase that he could really knock you out, because he made sure he told you it was a halibut.
And when he hit him, you heard him.
Yeah,
you heard it smack. Yeah, that was head hitting into the suitcase there. And we don't play around here, Mid-South Wrestling. I'll tell you that much right now. And you'll see that in a few weeks with this contract signing between the Midnight Express and Fantastics. We can't wait for that one. Then match 7, we have the Fantastics. Speaking of the Fantastics, Tommy Rogers, Bobby Fulton against Pat Rose and Hans Schroeder. Now, someone asked us in a previous episode if Pat Rose had already been with a team with Mr. Wrestling, tip number 2. He hadn't yet, but he's about to. He's about to go over there. And when you see the crowds where Wrestling 1 and 2 are against the Armstrongs, oh, the Farm Center in Dothan is packed. I'm here to tell you.
Yep.
Again, the match is going on as Pat Roseberg and Hans Schroeder are the opponents of the Fantastics. The match is going in something that's really very rarely happens. The match goes, the TV show goes off, the show goes off, and the match is still going on in the ring, but they never come back and finish it. And that wraps up what was a nonstop, action-packed hour and what makes 1984 the premier wrestling year for Mid-South Wrestling. And I would say, I would put these shows against anybody's shows.
Think about it. 7 matches in 1 hour. And 7 matches in 1 hour. That is an incredible feat. Folks, if you are watching us, please give us the thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when we put a new video, when we upload a new video.
And if you have any comments or questions or whatever, post them right underneath there. We'll be happy to try to get to them, as many as we can every single week right here on our look at Mid-South Wrestling 1984. Probably, like I said, one of the best years in pro wrestling ever, ever, ever.
Well, folks, we'll see you on the next episode as we look back at Mid-South Wrestling in 1984.